We had a little supper on the way home after the Meadows, and we're going to be a little late getting home. We won't be home till around 9 o'clock on Friday evening. I got the girls with me. Addie Bear and Ava are with me. Ollie had some baseball stuff in Ontario. So him and Amy left this morning. They left at the exact same time that we left for the Meadows. Amy left for Ontario. Everything went good. They're coming back tomorrow. Now, I'll tell you what, I got to the Meadows, and it was sunny out, and I opened the car, and I said, I know, I raced in a blizzard, and the track was deep the day before. There's no shot that they're racing today. I turned on the Racing Network. Races are delayed. I go up to the track, and they're scraping it, and the mud coming off the track was unbelievable. No, it was absolutely believable. The fact that they still thought they could race while they were taking this off, that was unbelievable. I went into town for a second, got something to drink, came back with the girls, and they thought they were going to race. I think the first race went off at 2 o'clock, and they were just going to start running them quickly. I thought in my head, realistically, they're going to race one. The drivers are going to come in and complain. I was late leaving the burn. I wasn't late. I left the burn on time, but it was going to be super tight. Like, I'm talking 8-9 minutes before the race when I got there. So rather than cause a kerfuffle at the track, I just said, hey, I got my girls. We were running around. I had to train the babies today, and I'm going to be late for the double. Might have just been the first, but called it the double. I was going to start in the fourth. 4, 7, 8, 11, 12, or 12, 13. I get to the track. The races are delayed. I'm still thinking there's 0% chance they're going to race. Now, I'll call a spade. And I know the track crews at every track are never respected, right? Nobody ever says, hey, you did a great job. Hey, you're doing a good job. It's just one of those thankless jobs, like the janitor at your school, right? Nobody ever says you've done a great job. What they do here is when they don't have the track good, the track's garbage, the track is terrible, I can't believe how bad the track is. They get that all the time. The track crew at the Meadows, what they did with the track today was almost supernatural. I can't believe that they had the track as good. When I came back, I literally thought they're going to race one. There's going to be holes punched all over the track. The drivers are going to come in and say, this is ridiculous. We can't race on this. And that's that. I didn't even put my suit on until the third was over. That's how sure I was they were going to cancel. Went out and raced. It wasn't that bad. By the time was on my side went, it was actually pretty good. And by the time the races were over, track was in amazing shape. Track crew at the Meadows did an outstanding job on the track today. Anyway, time was the only one that we had in there. We had 2 at Mohawk. Time is on my side. I pick up the program. Later Dudes is the favorite. Nice horse. Showed some open racing at Miami Valley. Raced 5 days ago. Every other horse has raced at least once in January. Not Time is on my side. He's off 18 days going into today, I believe. 18. Maybe 19. But Tim always has, they're always, I don't think, not very often I can even remember when I would get off the bike with one of our horses with Tim, or even one of Tim's horses, and said, I think he's a little short. Right? He usually has him trained up pretty good. I look at we're going out the track. Later Dudes the favorite. We're like 8-5, 6-5, and everybody inside is a good horse. It's the open, but they aren't quite top open material. But the great equalizer is the fact that 18, 19 days since he raced last. And you can say, oh, he trained him up tight. It's not the same as racing. For him to go out today and win in 51-1, and the track was good at that time. It still wasn't awesome. It was unbelievably better than when I first arrived at the track. But it was still not awesome. Still had fenders on. Time got away 26-2. I had to stretch Ronnie a little bit. He's the horse to beat. I know the name later dudes, but I don't really know the horse that well. And the other 4, quite frankly, shouldn't beat us. I don't think they're supposed to. That horse of Drew Monty's raced out of his skin today. I watched the replay. First over before the 3/8. Out the whole way, and I just beat him in a photo. Horse race big. Later dudes race good. I just beat them, all 3 of them, right across the wire. I just got up to win. Time raced amazing. And it's not like he turned everything around. We haven't had a great run the last 2 weeks. Horses weren't getting in. Horses drawing bad. Not getting good fields. Maybe not getting a good drive. Just hasn't been all systems go the last 2 weeks. And for him to win today, it was hopefully a turning point and a big win for us. So great job by Tim and all his staff. And I watched Mohawk. I wanted to digest it a little bit. 53-4, Chevron's bypass, coming off an okay qualifier and some lackluster racing before that turnout. I thought that was a decent mile. It looked like she was coming forward at the wire. And maybe she does like that long stretch. I think she likes being left in the last turn. In the qualifier, it looked like she was going to be terrible, and then she took off down the lane. Looked like she was kind of floundering away, third over in the middle part of the last turn, and Tyler got her back down to the rail, and then, again, she finished up good. So that might be a little tell in regards to that feeling. She might like to be left in the last turn along the rail. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. We'll see the next time she's not in along the rail in the last turn. But I thought she raced decent. I guess she raced as good as I hoped she would. 55-ish, 54 in a piece, maybe 55 in a piece. Luck got home pretty good and was advancing at the wire. That's most important. Now the next guy, Never Lose Felix, I know I got a message, an email from one of my partners on Felix saying, it's very frustrating as an owner to see somebody take your horse back to last. Somebody has to get away last. And going into the non-winners at 2 with a driver that doesn't know the horse. James might have got away last. So, when I watched the race the first time, I just said, well, he's going to have to come to Pennsylvania. He's not good enough. Then I watched it again. He finished up good. His last 100 yards were a good 100 yards. And it take nothing away from the time. It just seemed the last 48 hours in Ontario, for sure, the miles just seemed slow. And I didn't watch the races last night. The qualifiers this morning, talk about those, because I forgot to talk about those today. Seemed slow, right? To me, anyway. I don't know if it was really cold this morning or whether it was just kind of the track was a little deep. Maybe, I don't know what the weather was like in Ontario. I know it was around freezing point at Northfield. Track was good there, but I'm sure around noon it was starting to give way. I haven't watched any of the races tonight, but another great job by another track crew that is a little underregarded, let's say. They worked their butts off. I called, I messaged Amy Haller last night, and she was adamant when she first messaged me back, the track will be closed on Friday. It's supposed to get a lot of snow on Thursday, and Friday the track will be closed. I said, geez, with the cold snap coming Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, would be cold last week. We aren't really able to get these horses trained up. It would be really good, if they at least kept an eye on the weather, because this really is the only day we're going to be able to train. I said we'd train a couple of horses tomorrow. It's supposed to pour rain all night, overnight in Ohio, in Northfield. Pour rain. Now, it doesn't mean it will. It's supposed to. So Amy messaged me back. Now, I went to the maintenance crew yesterday and just tried to get a feel for what their thoughts were on in the weather that's coming. And they said they didn't know for sure, but they were watching it. Made sure that I bought pizza for everybody in the barn, and I asked Jason to bring one of the pizzas over to the maintenance crew and say, hey, thanks very much. Track was a little firm today, but we got on it. You're able to train on it. I had a couple of emails from people, one from Robert in Europe. I don't want to say, it's easier for me to say Europe than to say where you're from when you're not from there. He's from Europe. and he was asking about the quarter cracks on these are very important questions. Maybe you ask them yourselves. You know, when you hear me say a horse like Neuromancer is a quarter crack, where you don't train and the track was hard and bled a little bit, it could have bothered him. The easy question was, why didn't we just not train him? Well, you know what? These are athletes. They do have to train. And you can't just there isn't a certain determined amount of work you have to put into a baby. And then once you reach that threshold, that baby is now ready to race. It doesn't work that way. It's different for every horse. But they are athletes. And it doesn't matter whether it's I'll give you a ton of analogies all the time, I do, but it doesn't matter whether you're a football player, a baseball player, a hockey player. I had a great conversation with one of our clients, who's come to be a good friend of mine. And before, I believe now, if I'm wrong, I apologize, but I believe this is how the story went. He said that his son was in the same vicinity as Roy Halladay one day. And I believe he was coaching, if I'm not mistaken. And he asked him, what's the difference between being, I think this is how it went, what's the difference between being a pitcher and being a pitcher, the MLB pitcher? He said, well, I think it's the ability to overcome, now I'm paraphrasing here, but overcome adversity is how it was portrayed to me. He said, very rarely are you ever at 100% as a top athlete. He said, it's just whether you can put that away and get your work done or not. And it's the same for horses, right? To think that Neuromancer or no other horse will never have a quarter crack, have a foot that's bothering them someday, maybe, something that's bothering them, but it's just, we can't, the proximity to a race, we just can't have the veterinarian assistance. There are times these horses are going to be faced with adversity, the same as you were if you played in any sports, high level or otherwise. We all get sick sometimes. Do you lay in bed, call your boss, or do you get up and go to work? Right? This is stuff that horses have to learn to go through. So I hope I portrayed it well enough to Robert in my email, is that, yeah, we could have left him off, but he's got work to do. His quarter crack bled a little bit, but it bled less than it did the other day, and the other one's not bleeding at all now. I can't tell you why they're there. They shouldn't be there. We're watching them, keeping a very close eye on them, but they are disappearing. Now, I'd love to never see them again after they go away now. But Neuromancer, the break today, there could have been a component of that break today that was predicated by that quarter crack. Sure, you could talk me into that. But he went out and got his work done best he could. I could have held him together. He's competitive. Halfway down the lane, if I had tipped him over backwards to hold him together, I could have. I let him advance. He just put that final little step in and rolled off. Not the end of the world. It'd be the end of the world if he does it in Lexington next year. It's not the end of the world when he does it at Northfield in January. So both, part of the process, I always say, part of this process is for the horses to understand what they can and can't do. Just as much as I can. So, Never Lose Felix. I don't really know how we got to Neuromancer training from Never Lose Felix. But Never Lose Felix, I thought he did his work well. He finished up well. I was a little disappointed he got away at the back. I was a little disappointed that he finished 9th. Sure I am. But when I stop and look at it, here's our options. I don't think he comes back to Northfield. That's a wasted trip. You could go to the Meadows, right? And there's a series coming up in March that we're going to probably aim him towards. But I think he's getting a good education there. I would love to see him win, but I don't think Tyler Borth hurt him in any way tonight. My question to Tyler would be the same question I give James next week, likely when he drives him in the non-winners of 2, will be simple. Can he do a Mohawk? Because if you can't do a Mohawk, well, we're just beating our heads against the wall. But I'm not certain that answer would be no tonight. So that's where we're at right now with the horses. There's a state trooper. There's a police you were looking for at Ava. He's probably waiting for me to go by and blow by him at 85 miles an hour. Let's throw a little 78 at him. Stay safe. Anyway, so I'll defer my thoughts on Never Lose Felix until he races again, as a decent draw is put into play for Darcy. I understand. I feel your pain. But I don't really blame Tyler. He doesn't know the horse. He doesn't want to put him on the run. He's probably a little longer odds. And blasting him out of there. You have to have confidence when you're going to go out of there with a trotter. Now, when there's 1, 2, 3 otherwise, you have to drive them in such a manner that you want them forwardly placed. There's going to be nobody out there giving gifts out. So, getting away at the back was likely inevitable for tonight. We'll see how he races next week. Chevron's Bypass, I'd like to see a couple more starts like that from her. I thought she raced pretty good, and time is on my side. The horse I'll tell you who loves him as much as we do is Jamie Smith, our trainer in PEI. He talks about him all the time. He said, man, that's a nice horse today. I said, yeah, he is so. He is a nice horse. So that's what went on at the races. You guys know what went on with the babies. They did pretty good today. There was some horses we got to work on. There's some things we have to work on. There was no disappointments this morning for me. From my point of view, I saw a number of people dumping your shares of Royal Duchess. I would remind everybody, it is January, February, March, April, May, June, July. You have 6 months. That's how long it is till they race. Just relax. And I think I've been very clear. If there's horses I didn't like, you wouldn't have seen them on video today because they'd be gone, right? Horses we went with today, I was happy with. Every one of them, in their own way. Sure, there's always going to be things we can work on, and we will work on them. But nobody disappointed me today. Now, the qualifiers this morning, Foxy Seaside, not only did she look good, she put a step in like she was going to make a break coming out of the last turn when Tyler had her kind of jammed up. He drove her back to the inside, boom, took off and was gone. You could not do that with Foxy Seaside last year. She has clearly matured and grown up. And as my friend Paul, my partner, said today, he thought that Foxy Seaside was, again, I'm reading into emails that we've had back and forth over the last 6-7 months. He thought that maybe she was just cheap speed, right? When I look at her mother, how much money she made, the stakes she won, there was clearly speed there. But giving her that time off and bringing her back allows us to reassess what she is and she isn't. I know that James thinks she's a nice filly, and I know you couldn't do today what you did with her. So she's clearly grown up and matured. You always had the speed, always had the talent. She just had to put it all together in her head, and it looks to me like she has. So she looked good. I was a little disappointed when I saw the line from Blue Ventura. I saw the line before I watched the qualifier. Tyler Jones was just going around easy with Blue Ventura. Likely exactly what James would have done, knowing that he's probably going back again next week to requalify. I don't know if he's going to requalify both. I haven't talked to Dom yet. I will. But the way he finished up his mile and scooted by that horse right at the wire, I was happy. I was happy with Blue Ventura. He definitely needs another qualifier. Foxy, that'll be up to Dominic and James and whoever. So that was today. I'm on my way home, full, happy, hanging out with my girls. You behave, you. Hanging out with my girls, and tomorrow it looks like it's going to pour rain. Tomorrow, maybe movies tomorrow. Maybe movies tomorrow. I told you that, Mom. Anyway, I hope you guys had a good day. I know everybody that has anything to do with Time Is On My Side had a great day. For those of you, my partners, Darcy, or anybody else asking about Chevron's Bypass or Never Lose Felix, I know, listen, they're not going to be good every week. This is 2 weeks in a row that Felix was a little flat, like a little something going through the barn there too. He was a little flat last week. Dominic said his blood was a little low, so he was going to work on that also. Mechanically, I thought he did his work well, and I thought his last 100 yards were a good 100 yards. Chevron's Bypass, same thing. So happy with today, happy with the qualifiers, happy with the babies. It could always be better, but it could always be worse. I hope you guys had a great day wherever you are. Good weather today, a little wet here tomorrow, and then it's going to get nasty cold for 4 days. Take care.